And the establishment rallied behind Chairman Previs. Ultimately, delegates at the convention will make any rule changes, but today's decision certainly underscores the fact that D.C. elites, well, they want the option to bring in one of their own. Joining me now to discuss, Tammy Bruce, Ryan Girdusky, Louise Mensch, and Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes, let me start with you. Even though they punted, in a sense, they did send a message with this decision, didn't they?
Well, I think so. But first of all, I think that one of the messages they were trying to send is the fact that they don't want any more chaos added to this process. If there would have been a significant rule change, I think one of them in particular was changing it from the U.S. House of Representative rules to Robert's Rules of Law, Rules of Order. That would have been a big issue because that would have basically changed it to something that they've had in place since 1856. So I think it was smart of the RNC leadership to really push forward and stay on course and not make any changes to the rules at this point.
Louise, you actually served as a member in England, though, right? I mean, you were, I guess we always talk about how the English process is a lot different than ours, but do you think what we're seeing here in America certainly is a revolt against the system, both the Democrat and Republican?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of anger from the voters out there that is being channeled into this odd primary process. But at the same time, the RNC has to remember, as a politician, we had to remember, you're not just appealing to those primary voters. You have to look at who's going to win the general election when millions more people are voting than ever vote in a primary. So that we always keep that in mind.
Are you saying ignore the vote of the primary voters and focus on the vote of the general election voters?
I'm saying that you certainly need to prioritize the whole of America over a few people that are qualified to vote in a primary, that is for sure. And if I were a delegate, I would be thinking about who can win in November, because the number's not 1237, the number is 270.
Ryan, you're a Trump supporter.
Yes.
Obviously, Donald Trump supporters feel like the process has certainly not helped him, despite the fact that you can argue he has benefited from some of the different elements of the process. What do you think about today's decisions?
Well,
or
Trump,
lack thereof.
Right. Well, Trump has some things going for him, which is basically he's at 844, 845 in delegate count, and he's got very fertile territory he's coming up with. He's going to get more delegates. He might get to 1237 on his own, and this is a moot point. On the other hand, Ted Cruz has a chance with this decision to be that to have a contested convention. He's looking to be the white knight in shining armor to save the GOP in his eyes. But I think that Ted Cruz's problem fundamentally is that no one else in that room thinks of him as the hero who's going to defeat Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And if it goes to that, he might not get the
nomination. Tammy, I don't think what they're talking about is Ted Cruz being the alternative to Donald Trump. I think the establishment folks and a lot of Trump people are saying, hey, don't be fooled, Cruz. They're using you until they get into the second, third, fourth round or whatever it is, and then that's when they'll install their guy.
Again, I really hope that the RNC has grown a brain, because with all this major conspiracy stuff, it's like suddenly they can organize themselves out of a paper bag. What I do think that this lack with the Robert's Rules of Order, like what that would have done, it would have taken power away from Paul Ryan as the chair of the convention. That would have been very aggressive. But by doing nothing, it shows you that the light of day being shown on this process is making them step back a bit. They don't want to do anything more that'll give Trump and others more time to complain. So what people have to look for is what happens. The rules can change in a moment at the convention with the delegates through the management of Paul Ryan. So this is why, for Mr. Trump, it's in his interest to move in as strong a position as he can, which means with all the delegates. If he doesn't have that, it means that he will be in a very difficult position, and the establishment can take it on the second ballot if Mr. Cruz does not have his organization ready.
Right.
This is a brilliant way to watch the American process. The messaging, it'll be on television to the American people that this being president is something the Republicans want, that they're fighting for, that they want to be able to do. That passion, that it's not just another job or because you're supposed to inherit it like Hillary Clinton. It's like the next job she has. This is exciting for the American people, and they're going to see it in this process. And Mr. Trump and Mr. Cruz had better have their act together.
Louise, always saying that the way sausage is made is not attractive, right? So we like transparency in this country, but we may not like what we see.
I don't know. I think that she's absolutely right. I think you're going to see a complete fascination with this process. And really, Mr. Trump has
with
said...
the process, but Ryan, if Trump is not the nominee, how many people will be unhappy with the outcome?
9 million so far. I mean, you never know where it's going to go from there. I mean, Kanye West said he wants to be president. He might get the RNC nomination if this is all over.
I want to be president. I can get it on the third ballot. You can too, right?
Well, sadly, I am not an American, although I am a legal immigrant before Mr. Trump gets any ideas. Yes. But look, I think what we are going to see is the fact that Donald Trump needs to play by the rules. The rules are you get 1237. He is doing an awful lot of crying about rules that have been in place forever. Is the art of the deal? Close the deal.
But
if you can't close the deal, don't cry.
What is